Am I the idiot for divorcing my wife because I found out her body count? And stick around because people had very strong opinions about this one. I, male 27, have been married to my wife, female 28, for 8 months now. When I married her, I was told to believe we both still had our V cards because of religious reasons. But yesterday, whilst we had some friends over, we talked about how young kids these days have their first time and don't really wait until marriage anymore. To which my wife responded with, "Waiting till marriage doesn't make sense anyways, there are so many safe options now." I chose not to respond and just listen whilst our friend group had a discussion about it. Later that day, I asked my wife if she regrets waiting until marriage, to which she responded, "I didn't wait, I wanted to tell you, but I never felt comfortable sharing it." I have to admit that I got furious and said some things I regret saying, name-calling, etc., and told her to leave my house. Her parents live 10 minutes away. I feel like I've been manipulated and that I've been keeping to myself for nothing. We had been dating for 7 months before we married. When she returned the day after, I asked her what her real body count was, and she told me it was with me, including 17, to which she added that most of those were only a one-time thing and nothing felt more like real love than with me. I told her that she had a month to pack her stuff and we are getting a divorce. Thankfully, we signed a strong prenup that stated that in any divorce, no matter the reason, our assets would not be divided. She agreed because she is the only grandchild of very, very rich grandparents. My friends and her family have been blowing me up, saying that this is no reason to divorce since it has nothing to do with our relationship or marriage, but I disagree. If I knew she didn't have her V card, I would have never married her. Edit. Since it was unclear, she flat out told me she was a virgin too when we started dating. I told her I was waiting till marriage. After that, I didn't explicitly say I wanted a wife who was also waiting, but there was no reason to since she was a virgin anyways. To clarify, I also was upset about what my wife said about waiting till marriage. That's why I asked her about it, but the topic, as you can read, soon changed. I hope this will be the last edit. The issue isn't her not being a virgin, as I've stated in one of the comments. It's about her not waiting till marriage, whilst I did. If she married and divorced all 16 of those guys, that'd have been fine. Now for a few comments before the update. Your edits make no sense. Because you clearly said, if I knew she didn't have her V card, I would have never married her. But your edit says it's not about her not being a virgin, it's about her not waiting till marriage. Also, no grown man says V card. I feel sorry for your next wife. Comment 2. I am so sorry that you were lied to. That has to really hurt. As a woman who was raised in a very religious tradition, I was always taught how important it was to save myself for marriage. Then I was on a date and I was raped. Did I report it? No. Instead, I saw myself as damaged goods and went through a series of men in a very quick fashion. It took me a little while to figure out my own stuff and decide that I still had worth. A few years later, I met a wonderful man who was a virgin due to his own religious tradition. We have now been married a really, really long time. We have grandchildren. Does he know my body count? Nope. He knew he would be my last and that he would be the only one sharing a future with me. Just please know that sexuality for women in conservative religious traditions can be extremely complicated. Comment 3. You wouldn't be an idiot for divorcing, but at the end of the day, why does it matter? She was scared to tell you, and for good reason considering how you reacted. I had friends who cared too much about that stuff, and personally it was because they were sexually inexperienced. They were insecure and acted like a girl was less than a person just because of her body count. You're throwing away a perfectly good relationship for religion, but I do believe insecurity is involved. You're also extremely unlikely to find anyone else this age that's a virgin anyway, but you do you, man. Now, for the update. I'll start with what most of you wanted to know and say I am probably not divorcing anymore, or at least postpone it for a couple of months. I then want to say that even though many of you meant it in a good way, I still do not appreciate strangers slut-shaming my wife. I do not in any way support her in what she did, but she is still my wife, and slut-shaming is something I'm against. It was her decision, and do not think of her as used goods in any way, shape, or form. She is still my wife, and to make matters worse, mother of my child. To clarify this all, I'll say exactly what happened this morning. My wife came back home around 10 a.m. this morning. She stayed with her mom the day after the incident as well, because I wasn't going to be home until 10 p.m. because of my schedule on Friday, and it looked like she had been crying. I kept my distance, even though I wanted to comfort her. I knew that it would just make things worse. I asked her to sit down so we could talk. I wanted to straight away tell her I was going for a divorce. She sat down, and before I could tell her anything, she said that she's pregnant. I was shocked since she's been on birth control, and we didn't want to have kids until we were both at least 30. I asked how long she's known, and if she knows how long she's been pregnant. She's known for 3 weeks now, and has been pregnant for 5 months. I asked her why she didn't tell me sooner, and she said she was planning to surprise me for my birthday, which is in 4 days. I don't do much to celebrate my birthday. She then told me she was planning on getting rid of it because she no longer feels appreciated by me and no longer wants me to father her child. I told her that that's fine since I was going to talk to her about divorce, and then it felt like a bomb blew up, screaming, crying, name-calling, etc. I told her that I've already made my decision and she couldn't change it. She then started coming up with a lot of ways she could make up for mistakes, even telling me I could start sleeping around whilst she stayed home, which made me upset because I'd never even thought about cheating and that I'd have no reason to since our sex life has been great. I then told her that I wanted to know if she regrets what she did. She said that she regrets not telling me, but doesn't regret doing it, since it made her understand what she likes better, and could still make me the perfect bed partner for what she likes, because men always finish anyway. This made me just more upset because she basically treated me like a trained animal. I then told her that I will sleep in the spare bedroom until she could move back in with her parents. She then told me that if I divorce her, she would simply keep the child so I'd be forced to at least co-parent with her, and she could make sure I wouldn't remarry. I asked that if I were to change my mind and stay with her, she'd still keep the child, and she said it's her choice, and she would do whatever she feels like. So I decided to stay with her, and just pray she will abort, but I swear the moment she does it, I will have my divorce papers ready. I also wanted to again clarify some things. No, aborting a child is not a sin, as long as it's before the 120-day mark. We rushed for marriage because relationships are not allowed in my religion, and she actually still complains to me about having waited too long. Yes, I love my wife, but she's shown me now that I simply cannot trust her, and I will have to leave her. I asked her if I knew any of the guys she slept with, but she refuses to tell me anything about her past experiences apart from them not being as good as doing it with her husband. The name-calling I mentioned was me calling her disgusting, liar, devil. I did apologize for the way I reacted. She never told me she was waiting for marriage, but she did say she was waiting for the right one, which even if she didn't say, wouldn't have mattered since she was a virgin anyway. So even if it wasn't for the same reason as me, she still went to the same temptations as me and knew how hard it was. I called virginity the V card because I simply didn't know what was and wasn't allowed on Reddit, and I didn't know it was a misogynistic term. Virginity is a social construct. Doesn't change the fact that social constructs can be important to people. Names, for example, are also a social construct, yet someone can get very upset if you use their dead name. Edit. I asked her to do a pregnancy test, but she pretty much refuses to do anything I ask now. It's basically like having a roommate. No, I'm not going to be talking it out or man up. My wife lied to me about something important and is trying to make my life miserable. But once you love someone, you can't ever hate them, and I'm just trying to leave for both of us. Summary. Since people don't want to read the whole post but want to comment anyway, here's a short version. She is pregnant and told me if I divorce her, she will keep the child to make me have to be in her life to make sure I'm not going to find love again. My decision is to stay with her until she aborts the child so that I can leave her without having an innocent child in the mix. Last edit, probably. I got bored, so I'm writing this, and since I already made my decision, it really doesn't matter what I write anymore. It's crazy to me how people that scream to want everyone to be able to love anyone without being judged are so upset about me wanting a wife that didn't have sex before marriage. You don't have to agree with my reasoning for you to understand that it's something important to me, and I feel betrayed. I myself was a virgin, so it isn't hypocritical to want to marry one. I wanted my first time to be shared with my wife and got fooled into thinking it was. I'm not insecure about my sex life. It was great, and my wife is still trying to keep it alive. I don't believe that being a virgin is pure or makes you a better person. I do believe, though, that having sex with someone outside of marriage makes sex worthless to you. To me, sex isn't just a physical act. It's the way to prove to your partner you truly love them and are willing to be with them till the end. And only through marriage are you truly promising each other that. If you disagree with me and think that sex is just a physical act and means nothing, then I see no reason why people couldn't cheat since it's just a physical act. As long as you don't bring in STDs, of course, but you guys seemed okay with not wanting to want someone who has a STDs in the first place. Yes, the past is the past, but it does have to do with me as it affected how my wife, the person, views sex differently than me, and it means we aren't compatible. I would have not married her in the first place if I knew before, so now I want a divorce not only because we are clearly not compatible, but more so that she pretended we were just so she could settle down and get married. If you disagree with me and think marriage isn't how you promise each other to be there forever, I would like to know what you believe marriage is. Comment 1. Y'all both messy. It sounds like children playing house from the tantrums you both have. I hope she doesn't keep the baby, or else she'd be forever stuck with your immature ass. Comment 2. Seriously. Your reaction is way out of proportion. So what if she didn't wait till marriage? It's her body and her choice. You sound controlling and possessive, and your obsession with her V card is just creepy. Divorcing her over this is ridiculous and unfair. You both should have communicated better before getting married, but that doesn't give you the right to treat her like this. And threatening her about the divorce while she's pregnant is just cruel. Grow up and learn to accept people for who they are, not some unrealistic ideal you have in your head. The way you're handling this situation is toxic and abusive. Seek therapy and work on yourself before you ruin more lives. You're the idiot. Comment 3. It's understandable that you feel betrayed by the revelation about your wife's past. You both had an understanding about waiting until marriage, and she lied about it. Trust is an important foundation in a marriage, and it's broken here. You have every right to feel hurt and upset about this situation. If the core values you both had were not aligned, it could impact the future of your relationship. Your decision to divorce may seem harsh to some, but it's essential to prioritize your emotional well-being. It's clear that this revelation has deeply affected you, and staying in a marriage where trust has been broken may not be healthy for either of you in the long run. Stick to your decision and work through this difficult time. Ignore the critics. They don't fully understand the impact of this breach of trust. It's your life, and you have the right to make choices that align with your values and beliefs. Take care of yourself and find a resolution that brings you peace. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments. Is he being a big baby, or does her lying justify his reaction? Please also drop a like and subscribe. It's free and really helps the channel grow. Have a great day. 8.